guys, so this is where I left off on my off-road wheel. So let's add some treads to this and see if we can't get it right on the first try. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into edit mode of the actual wheel itself right here. It was subsurf, so there's a lot of geometry. So go into the right hand view and turn limit selection to visible off so that you can see everything, yeah, like that, and select a loop, an edge loop that goes all the way around, and then just duplicate it. Right click and then just grab it along the Y. I'm gonna go -5. Maybe I'll go +5. So that is the cross section of our tire there again. And that's what we'll be using to make the treads that will be wrapping around our tire. So to start that, let's just turn it into its own object. Just obviously hit P, separate by selection, and we'll just call this treads.
Next step.
So now let's just take this shape and let's extrude it straight along the global Y. Just a decent little size, something, I don't know, I'd say something like that probably. Maybe even a little bit shorter. It doesn't have to be exact, but just some odd size. And this is where we're going to cut the treads out of. We're going to use the knife tool to cut some shapes out of it, so that way it wraps around. Because otherwise it's extremely hard to get the treads to actually wrap around everything nicely. And that's the problem I had before, so that's where this method works. It looks like normals might be backwards. Let's check them out. Just want to recalculate. Yeah, we're a couple off, so. Alright. So let's get started. I'm gonna go to top view. That'll be easiest. Oh, this is all reversed on me too. Great. Yeah, no, I am gonna move in the negative direction then, so I'm just gonna grab along the Y again. Okay, now it's gonna be, oh, I see why. Well, we'll just guess then, doesn't really matter. So something like that. Don't know why the sun got unhidden, but that's all good. So yeah, we're gonna start cutting out the treads. So let's get some base shape started for our treads. So to do that, just set your 3D cursor on the mesh here, get out of edit mode and add a plane. Each plane is essentially going to be your tread. I'm just going to tab into wireframe, or sorry, tab into Z into wireframe so that we can see it. So yeah, each plane is going to be a tread, so it's just a starting point. So I'm going to scale it down, maybe 0.25. I'll try that since I made each of these one wide. And then just grab along the X and put it right to the side. Line it up perfectly if possible. So I'm going to use that origin line to line, or that origin dot to line it up, and then just do it again. Just duplicate. I'm going to grab along the X, -0.5 or +0.5. That'll do it exactly. I don't want that obviously, so we'll grab along the X like that and then duplicate both of those. Right click, grab along the Y, X, sorry, put them together, and let's scale all of these down. And now we can align them again. So you want the edge ones, you want them as far to the edge as you think is viable, because what they'll do is they will, it's hard to see in this view, but basically they'll end up wrapping around the edges. So if you go right to the edge, it'll wrap all the way to the widest point, which is what we want. If you don't want that though, then just go somewhere right in the middle here. But yeah, I want them to wrap around for fairly far, so I'm gonna go that double line. I don't know, just looks like a good reference point. I'll do the same on this side, and then split the difference between these two. -200. -200. That looks roughly split. It doesn't really matter because we're just going to use these as a starting base to start making our treads. So we can select them all, scale them along the Y, and we'll start drawing our treads off of that. So to start that, all we got to do is join them. I'm going to call this treads, maybe guide. And then let's go into edit mode. So let's tab into edit mode there. So this is where you get to have fun. You just create a tread in whatever design you think is going to end up looking cool. For example, most people, they'd add a loop cut in, say, on that line. And they'd go and they add another one, say, right there. And then they might say select all of this and drag it down along the Y to get that diagonal kind of tread shape. And then once you get the tread design you want, select everything, and instead of duplicating it, make an instance to copy, which is Alt-D, right click, and then take that copy. Oh shoot, did I just ruin that selection? And grab along the Y. Alt-D, so Alt-D. Oh, you have to do that in object mode. What am I thinking? So yeah, once you have your tread set up ready, just go Alt-D to make an instance to copy. Right click and then just grab it along Y or whatever your axis you're working in. And that way, any edits we make to this will propagate to the other one. So for example, because this obviously isn't the tread pattern I want, if I went and pulled these two vertexes down, say I went like this, you can see the other one is propagating instantly like that. So yeah, just come up with a really cool tread design and we'll go from there. So I'm just gonna time lapse this and then we'll go from there. So just a note, if you select 1/2 of your tread mesh like this, and you set your pivot point to 3D cursor, if you haven't moved your 3D cursor, don't move it. Otherwise, try to get it right in the center there again, wherever you put it. If you scale along the Y, so scale Y, -1, and then scale along the X, -1, you should have basically a perfect duplicate of your mesh just like that. So that's how you know if you're doing a good job or not. And yeah, just something to be aware of. And that'll also help you make perfect duplicates like you saw me do in the time lapse there. So I'm just going to spend a minute to think if that'll make an aggressive enough looking tread. I'm just going to try to think about it in my mind in 3D space, and we'll get back to it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. If not, we can always do it again. So let's move on to the next step.
Press enter. Also, make a link.
So let's do what we did before and go into object mode. And then make a linked copy, so Alt-D, right-click, and then grab along your axis and line it up something like that. And just to make sure it's mirrored so that it's kind of alternating a little bit, we want to make a mirror of it. So to do that, you hit Control M, or if you don't know the hotkey really well, it's just Object Mirror. So we want to go Control M, and we want to mirror it in the Y and the X, and not the Z. Okay, why is it being a son of a gun? Let me try it manually. Apply mirror, interactive mirror. There we go. So you want to object, apply, mirror, interactive mirror. I don't know why it wasn't working. And then we want the X and the Y, like I said, but not the Z. So lock the Z by pressing Shift Z, and that'll mirror locking along the global Z. So that's perfect. So then just hit enter, and that'll be a perfect mirror. We're actually going to move these up to the top since the way it's working. So we're going to grab them along the Y and move these up to the very top roughly, like so. We could even go over if we wanted, but I'm just gonna, yeah, you know what, we want to. That way we get all the tread. So I'm gonna move it something like that. It really doesn't matter where it's overlapping too much. But anyways, then join those. So Control J and make another linked copy. So Alt D, right click, and then make another mirror of it. Sorry, let's backtrack. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Don't join those two together. Make sure they're still separate. Ooh, can I undo this now? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So make sure they're still separate. And then let's just make one more mirror. I want 4 of them in total. So just grab both of these. Alt D to make a linked copy. Right click. Let's make a mirror. So object, mirror, interactive mirror. Lock the Z. So Shift Z. Enter. Grab along the Y and line it up. Just roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. It can be perfect though if you're using measurements. I'm trying to as best as possible. But that's going to be our tread guide. And you'll see if we make any adjustments to one of these, it makes it to the rest of them. So you can really make some tweaks to your tread now if you want. I'm fairly happy with it though. I might do a few things. I might add in a few extra little things here and there. It's hard to remember where my original mesh is. Like maybe I might stretch that one out like so. But yeah, you can make some adjustments here if you want. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I think it'll come out looking pretty cool. I don't know about this empty space here, but You got to remember that you're not going to see that really that much from a distance. Only these main tread parts that we created with the 4 original planes. And on the sides, you don't want to get too crazy. Otherwise, it'll look really weird on the sides. Even things this big might look a little funky, but we'll see what happens. But like I said, the only thing is, if you think about it, car tire, most of it is the tread, and very little of it is actually the negative space, the inset, if you will, the intrusion. So I'm actually going to fill these in with something. So I'm just going to duplicate a vert, and I'm just going to create some sort of shape. Now everything's backwards because it's an instance copy, but I'm just going to create some sort of shape. Oh, I'm still on my 3D cursor, that's why. And increment. There, that's much. Okay, that's not working the way I want. I guess I'm just gonna have to rough it. Unless I use this one, maybe. Is this the one that's it? Yeah, okay. It's hard to remember which one's instanced and which one's not. This is the only problem with this. Anyways, I'm gonna extrude. Grab along the X to there, and then I'm just gonna make a duplicate of this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna delete that vertice. I'm gonna select all of these. I'm gonna duplicate. I'm gonna scale along the Y -1. Scale along the X -1. Is that what I want? No. Scale along the X -1. Yeah, okay, that's what I want. Then grab along the X. Come on, where are you? No, okay, what did I want? Then scale along the Y -1. No. Duplicate, right click, and then rotate 180 degrees, and then just grab straight up along the Y. No, that's not gonna work either. But we'll just snap it. We'll just grab, snap it, and then we'll make sure these vertices are merged. That's how you get a near exact perfect copy. So this one first, that one last, Alt-M, merge it last. This one first, that one last, Alt-M, merge it last, and there you have a perfect duplicate there. So I'm just going to fill that face in. You don't have to, these are just guides. But anyways, there. So that leaves very little negative space to show on our tire, except on the sides, which is okay in my opinion, but we'll see. We can always add a tiny little part in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the copies. I'm going to take the, which one here? That one will work out well, I think. So I'm going to take the other ones. I'm going to move, whoops, not that one, that one. I'm going to move those just to layer 2 for now, just as a backup, and I'm going to use this one. Is it an it is an instance copy. That's okay though. Anyways, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to go to right view. I'm just going to move it up. In fact, I should have done this to all of them, so I'm going to undo that movement. Can I undo that movement? Yeah. Okay, so with all those selected, I'm just going to grab them along the Z till they're at the very, very top. So just going to use vertex snapping to get to the very, very top. Actually, in fact, they can even go up because we're going to be using orthographic view. So just slightly above the actual tire tread. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to move those ones back to layer 2. These are just kind of backups for now. So move to layer 2. I think you probably could work with just one, but now you can see a little bit better here how we're going to solid. Oh, maybe not. It's too much the same color. But in wireframe, I guess you get the you can see how it overlaps against the edge. That's going to wrap around when we use the knife tool. Now the knife tool can get a bit wonky in Blender, so it might take a few attempts. But what you want to do is just select your object, your treads here, and then use the knife tool. So hit K. in edit mode might help. So hit K, and then just use these as a guide. And after you've made your first click, so you can see how it snaps the lines on your mesh. That's going to get annoying in a lot of instances, or some instances. So if you don't want that and you want it more accurate, after you've made your first click, you can always zoom in and out and pan without and changing your view, because I want to go back. Well, you can't, so don't rotate. But after you've made your first click anyways, you can zoom in and out, and you can pan. So if I get in really close here, you can see it wants to snap to the line, but you can see it goes out slightly further. So I would zoom in really close if I wanted to get that perfect cut. So yeah, just start cutting out your treads, and I'll time lapse this again, and we'll see how this works. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't work on the first try, so it might take a few tries, but we'll see what happens. But basically we're cutting in 3D space based off of a 2D image. Also, pressing C will get you perfectly straight lines if you have them in any situation. You can get 45s and 90s. There we go, cool, so it worked. First try. So for that one, you can see how it cuts on the 3D surface based off of our 2D guide that we made. So that's how we're going to get these treads that kind of extend around the tire's shape. So anyway, back to top view, just continue that process till you have all your little tread bits cut out. I'm actually going to press Control Up to give me full screen because I don't need everything else here. So yeah, that one cut out as well. By giving our guides a little bit of height, we can see if it worked or not. So make sure you're in orthographic view when you're doing the cutting though. Now that one joined our two cuts, but that's no problem. We can work with that, obviously. And I've made all of my designs quads. All I have to do is split that one and split this one because this is going to be going into a game. So quads, or otherwise I'm just going to triangulate everything in the end. But if you're just doing it for render, obviously it doesn't matter at all. You can do any crazy shape you want and not have to worry about that. Shoot. Ooh, that one created some weird geometry. That worries me. I might undo that and do that last then. Although it shouldn't matter. Ah. Shoot. So you can see it's giving me problems with snapping, so I gotta zoom in here. And if you hear that noise in the background, I apologize. It's Canadian winter, so I got my heater going. I'm gonna go turn it off after I finish this here. Alright, I think that got all of them. If we take that layer, and if we just grab it or hide it, well, that cuts some holes, but we can fill that in, that's no problem. But yeah, we'll grab it along the Z1 unit. And if we go into edit mode, you can see we have our nice tread design cut in. Like I said, it folds all the way around our tire a little bit. I might have wanted to go a little bit further. I can always do that. I can always use the knife tool and cut a tread further in there, but this is just a basic design for now. It'll be a good test bed. So yeah, we'll work with that. I'm gonna fill these shapes in, just since it cut those faces out, which is what the knife tool is really supposed to do, but what we probably didn't want in this instance. So there, that is that for now. Next step. So I'm going to grab those faces. So I'm going to go into face select mode, and I'm going to grab all those faces we cut out. So you can see right here where we went over a line in the geometry. Make sure you grab those as well. And make sure you don't grab these extra faces that the knife tool created. So just be careful. Refer back to your guide if you need to, especially if you have a complicated design. And then what we want to do is we want to make a new object. So just go P, separate by selection. We'll go back into unfull screen mode, and we will call this tread cutout or something along that line. Something you'll remember. So you can see now if we grab that along the Z, it cut out of our tires just like that. Like I said, I would have liked to go a little bit further along the sides, but we'll see how that looks. Because usually you don't have too much treadage on the sides, and I want to put some logos on the side of the tire. But we'll work with that. So next step. We're going to move that cutout to the very center of our original wheel. So now we can move our 3D cursor. So in top view, I'm just going to hit Shift S, move cursor to center. And that is bang on because we created everything in the center. As far as I know, that's bang on. So that's good. That makes me happy. Well, actually, we created everything with an origin there. Anyway, so we're going to take that cutout, not our guide. We're going to take the cutout. That's this one, the tread cutout. And we're going to move it over there. So I'm going to grab along the Y right to the center there. So to do that, I'm going to go Shift S, selection to cursor. And if it doesn't work, Shift S, selection to cursor offset. And it's really not working. Okay. Oh, maybe it's because of the origin point. That's probably it. Okay, yeah. So select your cutout and go Control Shift C in object mode and origin to geometry. That'll set it right to the center. Now let's try it. Shift S, cursor, selection to cursor. Perfect. So then I'm just going to grab along the Z and snap till I get right to the very top of the faces. So somewhere right in there. Now it feels to me like that didn't work perfectly for some reason. Oh, I just got to move it up a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. That should follow our profile exact. Oh, it's because I added extra subsurf levels, maybe. No. Oh well, it's okay. This should work. If we go to top view, we can position it wherever we want essentially. So I'm gonna grab it along the X. I'm just gonna move it to the sides a little bit. Something like that. You could even scale it up if you wanted. That way, like I said, it'll wrap around the tire a bit more. It's hard to visualize, but you'll see once we get a little further. So just like that. And I want to get as close to the surface as possible, so I'm just going to keep adjusting it until we get it right close to the surface, like that. Alright, cool. So this is actually going to be our actual treads. I'm going to call treads, what was that object anyway? Oh, that was just tread profile. Or that's not even treads, that's tire profile. Stretched or extruded or whatever. What we cut out, I'm going to call that treads. That's going to be our actual treads. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our origin again. So we're going to Control Shift C and origin to 3D cursor, making sure it's still in the center. If it's not, make sure you double check. Shift S, cursor to center. So now what we're going to do, in top view, we're going to go into edit and inset the faces of some major pieces. So just hit I and just give them a little nice inset. And this will create a nice, so that it's not just perfectly straight up and down. You'll see what I mean when I do this. So what we're gonna, the next step is just to extrude them up. Or sorry, not to extrude them. To grab them. So just grab them along, like straight up. So in my instance, along the Z. So just like that. And you can see how that inset creates that nice little, it's like a bevel, but basically so it's not straight up and down. So that's how the treads are basically going to work. So just continue doing that as you see fit. I don't think it's going to work on these side ones like that, so we might just have to extrude straight up. So if we extrude straight along its normal, we could go like that. That's for a starting point. We should actually be keeping track of how far we extrude these. I'm going to do that, or not extrude, but grab or extrude. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to grab this along the Z, 0.05. And in Blender units, that works out to 3.3, or yeah, 3. no, 0.05 times 3.3 meters works out to about 0.16 meters, which is, well, it's 160 centimeters, so obviously this tire is huge. Actually, yeah, based on the fact that it's 1 meter wide, or one blender unit wide, it's about 10 feet wide, so that makes about sense to me. But anyway, so yeah, what size did I use? Shoot, no, I forget. Oh yeah, 0.05. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the rest of these faces. So I'm going to extrude these along their normal and see how this works out. 0.05, cool. That looks about the same roughly. So yeah, I'm just going to continue. I'm going to do this side. Making sure not to miss anything. Perfect. Extrude 0.05. And if it's not going along its normal, just tap the axis that you're moving in my case the Z, and it'll move between the normal, the global, the local, whatever. But most of the time you want the normal, unless they're perfectly flat like these ones. These ones I might join into one object, but that's okay, I think. So I'm going to try insetting these ones again, see if that helps. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to grab, perfect. Now I could snap to cursor since this is all flat, but you can see it's a little bit bigger, so just to be sure, I'm going to go 0.05. I want to be precise with this for best looks. I'm just going to continue the process. I'm just guessing when it comes to the inset. I'm not using an exact depth. You're really not going to tell the difference. I'm going roughly about 0.02, I guess. Maybe 0.15. We'll go 0.02. That's all of them. Grab them all. See if we can do these all at once. Extrude 0.05. That looks pretty. Oh no, I didn't mean to extrude. I keep doing that. Grab along the Z. You can see normal Z or global Z. I want normal Z in this instance. Actually, there's no difference, but normal Z is a good habit to get into if you're doing multiple objects at once. So 0.05, they're all the same height, perfect. So that is our basic tread pattern. So at this point, we could take it, we could give it a basic material. Do I already have rubber? No. We are going to need rubber eventually, so I'm going to make a material called rubber. I'm going to give it a diffuse color of just a nice gray, not too dark, otherwise it'll be hard to see our lines for now. I'm going to drop this into the viewport color, maybe a little bit darker. Drop that into the viewport color, drop it into the specular, and then make the specular just slightly lighter. Could even go a little bit darker. I just don't want it so dark